Doing what you have to do. We're going to talk about that on this segment of the Gig Geezer. If this is your first time checking out the Gig Geezer, if you're a returning visitor of the Gig Geezer, thanks for coming by. And if you would not mind, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. The reason why I emphasize thanks for coming by is because the Gig Geezer channel went over 10,000 subscribers this week. And that is thanks to you who have come by consistently over the past 2 years. In fact, the Gig Geezer channel began at the end of August of 2021. So we're coming up on a 2-year anniversary. But again, thank all of you who have continued to come by and check out content that I've put out here on this channel. Now, I mentioned about doing what you have to do. Now, I'm going to put it like this. I'm one who believes in putting in the time, putting in the effort, and putting in the money so that I can see the results that I have expected of myself and had set out to accomplish. Now, the reason for that type of philosophy, putting in the time, putting in the effort, and putting in the money to see the results that I've expected of myself, it kind of goes back to my childhood. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Now, in this day and age, I don't hear a lot about young guys being involved in the Boy Scouts, although I have come in contact with Boy Scout troops here in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area in recent years. My mother, she did what she could in terms of supporting my interest in the Boy Scouts. And I recall her coming by one scout meeting on a Saturday, if memory serves me correct. And at the end of the meeting, there were a couple of guys who were being acknowledged for a couple of skill awards, and I was off in the back goofing off. And my mother brought that to my attention. She says, "You see those guys? You remember those guys? They're up there getting those awards and all, and you're off in the back acting stupid and doing nothing, ain't got nothing to show for it. You're wasting my money." And I thought about that. Now, at the time, I believe I was a scout or tenderfoot. In scouting, scout is your entry-level rank, and then tenderfoot is the next level, and I think I was about tenderfoot at the time. Well, a few years later, none of those guys who were in that scout meeting were at my Eagle Scout ceremony, other than my scoutmaster, Mr. Whitney Collins. And I've not mentioned Mr. Whitney Collins here on the Gig Geezer channel, but if there's one thing that I've always been appreciative of Mr. Collins, and I went back to tell him this 10 years after my earning Eagle Scout, I told him that I appreciated the time that he sacrificed for us bonehead wannabe thugs. That's what we were. We were a troop full of boneheaded wannabe thugs. But I earned Eagle Scout, which at the time, an accomplishment that is earned by less than 2% of all the scouts. And so my mother's return on investment was paid back multiple fold because she was able to say, my son's an Eagle Scout. There was another example of putting in the time, putting in the effort, and that was in track. I begged my mother for a pair of track spikes. I begged her for them. Begged her for a pair of track spikes. I remember there was a size 12 wide Nike track spikes, and I was a high jumper. And let's just say she got another return on investment in that I was a school record holder, one of the best in the region. I even got some initial feeler letters from colleges, but all that was dashed the next year when I tore a patella tendon, and I was never really the same again, although I was good for the time that I was involved in track. But how does that translate into the ownership and operation of a sprinter/cargo van? One thing that you've heard me say many a times is expectations. Expectations, expectations, expectations. Regardless of market conditions, regardless of the hypersaturation that is out there, I've often said about setting expectations for myself. And the expectations of myself, as I've articulated very consistently, has been ultimately to be earning $400 to $500 a day, earning $2,000, $2,500 a week. Well, I've talked for about 5 minutes in this segment of the Gig Geezer, and I'm going to give my usual line. If you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer or in any other segment of Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. Well, I said I've been hitting those numbers. Definitely, if you've checked out any of the recent segments of the Gig Geezer, or if you checked out any of the recent community posts of the Gig Geezer channel, I have been very consistent at hitting those numbers, earning $400 to $500 a day, if not more, $600-700 a day. I've been very consistent over the last couple of months now. In fact, now 10 consecutive weeks in which I've earned $2,000 or more. In fact, last week in this segment of the Gig Geezer, I earned over $3,350. So I've been very consistent at hitting those numbers. The one number that I've not talked a lot about, but I did mention in this segment of the Gig Geezer when I mentioned about how to determine a break point, I had at least communicated to my queen, I know that I needed to hit anywhere between $8,000 and $9,000 a month. Well, for the last 2 months now, July and August, I've done that. Last month I made just a tick under $10,500. As of today, Saturday, August 26, 2023, I am over $11,000 earned, and I still got until next week, Thursday, August 31st, 2023, to find out what all I've done for this month. It is highly conceivable I could be somewhere near $13,000 earned for the month. So, how do you do what you have to do? Well, I mentioned about expectations. But the flip side to all that is this is not for everybody. It is not for everybody. And I believe that a lot of folk who have come on YouTube to learn about what they can do, be it gig food delivery work or even last mile delivery work or even the ownership and operation of a spinner/cargo van, they have seen content in which people have glorified things to where, oh, you don't have to do anything. You can make all this money. And then reality hits. And I talked about that on this segment of the Gig Geezer when times get slow. And I can tell you, like in the Columbia, South Carolina metropolitan area, the market has been very fractious, rather erratic. A lot of dead days. And the way I've been able to make it is by using other components of the tools that I have. Namely, for example, like booking brokered opportunities outside of Columbia and then stacking opportunities wherever I'm at an anchor location, be it at the pickup location or at the drop-off location. A good example of that is yesterday, Friday, August 25th, 2023. While I started the day in Columbia, and I did a bungee order that paid $92 and change. I did a DoorDash order. I did a Grubhub order, and I did a point pickup order. So when I left Columbia around mid to late morning, I had earned $140, but I booked a load out of Savannah, 12 miles, as I posted here on the community side, 12 miles earning $200. It was a long crate that could have fit on the flatbed truck, and then there were 2 smaller crates that I had to transport across town to a shipping yard, and that paid $200, as I mentioned. And then I stacked a couple of tire delivery opportunities. So I left Savannah having earned $260 there, and for the day earning $406. So that put me in a position today where I entered at $1,860 plus dollars. And then and the order that pretty much got me to where I'm at for this week, $2,040 and change for the week, was the last order that I completed today was a point pickup, which was a grill, as you see here on the inset, that paid $18 and change, $18.24 if memory serves me correct. So I'm doing what I have to do to get where I want to be. I'm doing what I have to do to meet the expectations that I've set for myself. A couple other updates that I want to mention in this particular segment of the Gig Geezer. I shared in this segment of the Gig Geezer about dedicated lane opportunities that I had been approved of or had been offered. If they had materialized, and keyword is materialized, there was a potential of me making $450. One of them was the lane from Dillon, South Carolina to Charlotte, 130 miles, and it would have paid $250. The other was an opportunity in which it would originate here in Columbia. Then I would go and drop off in Florence, and then in St. Matthews, South Carolina. 136-mile route to pay $200. As I've mentioned already, they did not materialize. And what had happened was with the Dillon to Charlotte lane, there was a broker who had a favorite driver of his, and he had been pretty much running game with that. He'd been making sure that his favorite driver been getting that lane opportunity, and the days that he wasn't getting it, of late, I was the one who was putting in that bid and getting it. In fact, I was getting it above market, or at least initial market was like $200, but then the market rate, it had improved to $225. And when I got approved, as you see here on the inset, that lane opportunity, it was agreed at $250. But somehow, I've yet to get a email confirmation saying that, okay, you get first right of refusal for this. So all this was based on research with my broker, who also is like my carrier rep. She confirmed that this broker had been running game. So those are some of the unsavory parts of this business. It's either people double brokering or people running backdoor games, running backdoor deals or behind the screen deals with other drivers looking out for each other. The other one, the Columbia to Florence to St. Matthews, what had happened the Friday before I was to do an actual run, which was on a Monday, 2 weeks ago, on Monday, August 14th, 2023, I contacted the lady about getting a phone number so that I know who I'm supposed to meet up with that morning in the parking lot of a Flying J and Denny's parking lot here in the Columbia, South Carolina area. Those of you who are residents here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, the phone number that I was given was one to Seattle, Washington, and when I contacted that person, he ain't know what I was talking about. So I never got a contact number, so I went ahead and booked the opportunity on that day and got out of it altogether, and I've yet to hear anything else from that lady. And it was actually on a gig app, but it's not even worth mentioning the gig app right now because there's nothing to talk about. The last thing I want to share in this particular segment of the Gig Geezer, and I've already touched on the fact that, hey, this is not as easy as what you think. A lot of folk like to glamorize things, how you can make all this money, and then you're not willing to put in the work, you're not willing to put in the time, you're not willing to invest in yourself to make things happen, or to improve yourself to make things happen, or put yourself in a position to make things happen. Do not expect to think that you're going to come in making $10,000 a month. Do not think that you're going to come in making $8,000 a month or $7,000 a month. You may be coming in making like I did, because I happen to have gig food delivery work behind me, making $6,000 a month. But my making $6,000, well, my making $6,000 a month again was based on the fact that I'd been operating out of my F-150, and that actually kept me going until things began to materialize for me on the last mile delivery apps, and then the brokered opportunities based on my MC number becoming active. And again, I'm going to share this information with the MC number. Now, I covered in this segment of Gig Geezer how you need an MC number if you intend to be doing this stuff on your own. If you tend to be booking your own opportunities and all, you need an MC number. Now, your MC number becomes active 3 weeks after you apply for it. You pay that $300 for that general purpose one. Then after the 3 weeks, then a lot of the brokers that you may deal with want you to be active at a minimum 90 days, some 180 days, some even I'm even going to throw in there 270 days, and then others 365 days. There may be some that allow brand new authority, but you got to be watchful of those type of people. There are a couple out there that may take you on after 60 days, but the minimum number that most want you to have is at least 90 days active time with your authority. That's all I really have. That's all I have to share in this segment of the Gig Geezer. Just want to give you an update on how things have been for me this week based on earnings, but also just share some other information about how you just have to do what you have to do. The last thought I want to share with doing what you have to do in recent weeks, with the brokered opportunities, it's mean driving more miles, being out longer than I would like to be out, but given how the Columbia market has been as slow as it has, as dry as it has, my having the other tools in my pocket have helped me out to keep me going and actually do fare better than what I even would have expected or anticipated of myself. So with that, if you like the content that's been provided in this segment of the Gig Geezer and any other segment of the Gig Geezer, hit that subscribe button, give my content a thumbs up, share my content among others, and I definitely welcome your comments in the section below. I'm Inwood Lane. As always, may your grind and may your hustle continue.